Hi everyone! There are 5 things that you're going to need for this project. The first one is going to be your fabric. That could be regular cotton fabric of any pattern. It could be a t-shirt that you don't want anymore. It could be maybe like a cotton bed sheet that you have. Whatever fabric you choose to use, I recommend washing it beforehand. I'm going to pick up an order from Joann Fabrics. The first thing I'm going to do when I bring it home is wash it. Especially if you're planning to donate these, you want to make sure that whatever material you're using is clean. The next thing you're going to need is some kind of pin. This could be a sewing pin if you have any of those. It could also be a push pin, a safety pin. It could even be a clothespin if you don't have anything else that you can use. The purpose of this is just to hold your fabric together when you're not sewing it, so it doesn't have to be anything fancy or professional. Next, you're going to need something to sew with. This can either be a sewing machine, which is what I'll be using in this video, or if you just have a needle and thread, that'll work perfectly fine as well. Next, you're going to need scissors. As long as they can cut through your fabric, then you'll be fine. The last thing you're going to need is something to measure with. You'll see me in this video using a tape measure, and sometimes I use a ruler just to draw my straight line. Anything that you have that can measure inches will be perfect. You're also going to need a pen or pencil or marker or anything where you can mark little spots on your fabric just for the measurements. It'll make it a lot easier. But if you don't have one, you could still find a way to make it work. If you are making these for anyone else but yourself, do not try it on. The one that I'm wearing at the beginning of my video, I made for myself, but all the ones that I'm planning to donate or to give to other people, I am not going to put them on my face. That really defeats the purpose of making these sanitation masks if you're just going to breathe into all of them before you give them away. A little side note that I'd like to add, if you have the time and the resources to make masks to donate, I highly recommend it. If you can't find anywhere that's accepting masks, Joann Fabrics is accepting donations that they're going to distribute to people as needed. Or if you know of friends or family or retirement homes or hospitals or places where they are currently accepting face masks and you are making more than enough for the people in your household and in your family, then please consider donating them. And even if you're not too confident with your sewing skills, trust me, nobody's going to pick up a mask and judge how straight your stitch is. As long as it's held together and made correctly with the right fabric, someone will be very thankful to receive it. You're going to start by cutting out 2 rectangles that are 6.5 inches by 9.5 inches. Then you're going to cut out a rectangle that is 18 inches by 4 inches and cut those into 4s. To make the straps, you're going to take one of the strips that you cut from your rectangle and place it so that the right side is facing down. Then you're going to fold the 2 edges in so that they're touching each other, and then fold it in half long ways or hot dog style. I slowed this video down so that you could see more clearly how I'm doing this. As long as you make sure that the edges touch and then you flip it over long ways, you should be good to go. Also, I don't think that I said this, but make sure that you're pinning down your work as you go, so when you go to sew it, it's all in place and you'll be able to stitch it faster. And then here's what your strap should look like when you're all done. It's okay if it curves a little bit from the pins because it'll straighten out once you sew. So here you are just putting the strap through the sewing machine to sew it down. If you don't have a sewing machine, you could definitely do this with just hand stitching. It might take a little bit longer, but it's totally possible. If you're using a sewing machine, especially if you don't typically use a sewing machine, I want to make sure that you know that you need to take the pins out before you keep sewing, otherwise your needle will hit it and it will break and then you'll kind of be stuck. If you're more familiar with sewing and you know how to fold down the edges as you're going, you can definitely do that. This is also an option if you don't have a lot of pins available but you still want to try it. It just might take a little bit longer because you have to stop and fold as you go. Once you have all 4 straps sewn, you are going to pin them to your fabric in the corners. Make sure the side that you want showing, so like the side that has the design, is facing up. Then once you're done pinning your straps down, you're going to tie them up just so that they're out of the way, and then put them on top of the fabric. You want to make sure that they're inside, not outside. Rectangle that you cut out and you're going to put it on top of all of this. Make sure that the design side is facing down. So the right sides that you want showing are kind of sandwiching the straps together, and then you're going to pin all 4 sides down. Just make sure that you're not pinning on top of the ends of your straps that you tied up, because then when you go to sew it, they'll be stuck and then no one will be able to tie it around their face. Then you're going to sew all the way around the border, making sure that you hit the corners of those straps that you pinned down, but you're going to leave about 1 inch at the bottom open so that you'll have like a little pocket. As you're sewing, once you hit the part where you've pinned down your strap, I like to go over it back and forth a few times just to add more thread and reinforce it, because someone's going to be wearing this around their head and you want to make sure the straps are tight before you keep going. So once you're done with that, you'll have that little pocket left. It kind of looks like a hole. You are actually going to take all of your material and you're going to push it through, so you flip it inside out, kind of like a pillowcase. Then you're going to take a pin and pin that bottom part closed. This next part can get a little bit tricky, but it's really important that you add pleats on your rectangle, just because people's faces aren't flat rectangles, so you have to be able to have some curves going around. I like to try to get 3 in. It's okay if they're not totally even or if they're all not the same exact size. You can measure it if you want to. I typically don't. Then you're going to put a pin on each side of the pleat that you made. I like to keep it in a little bit just so when you go over to sew it, it doesn't hit the needle and you don't actually have to take it out, but that is up to you. To make a pleat, you're just going to pinch the part of the fabric that you want to use, and then with your other hand pinch where you want it to go and kind of flip it over on itself. You're going to be making a twisting motion with your wrists to fold it. I don't know a better way to explain it, but hopefully after you try it a few times you'll be able to get it too. Don't worry if your pleats aren't perfect, it's not going to make or break your mask. But when you're done, make sure that you sew around the entire perimeter of your mask, including closing that little hole at the bottom. If you end up making a face mask following my video, please send me a picture or let me know how it turned out. I'd really like to see them because I know everybody has access to different materials and different fabrics, and they're all going to look a little bit different, which I think is cool. Make sure you're staying safe and healthy during this time, and we're going to get through it.